Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's no secret that the anti-cheat right now in Call of Duty is, well, extremely underwhelming. I know, breaking news. Ricochet is not great. And of course, that's been a hot topic, especially over the past month or so, as cheating has just become more of an issue week after week, it seems like, within Warzone and Black Ops 6 right now, within ranked, within public matches. It is everywhere, and it's a major problem. And funny enough, a anti-cheat developer, one that we've mentioned here on the channel in the past, has already called out Ricochet in Call of Duty before for what they could do better to actually improve the anti-cheat outright. And this same anti-cheat developer has now come out again and stated even more about what Call of Duty should be doing to improve the anti-cheat overall. I wanted to share this today, get more attention on the topic, because obviously if there's anything that Ricochet can do to make the game better, to make the game safer, it should be done. So It's GamerDoc over on Twitter is actually working on Riot's Vanguard Anti-Cheat, largely regarded as one of the better anti-cheats in the gaming industry right now. So he's definitely got the credibility here, right? If you're working on an anti-cheat that is much better than the anti-cheat we currently have in COD, you're certainly in a position to, knowledgeably talk about what's going on. I can sit here and say, hey, Ricochet should do this and this and that. But let's be honest. I play video games. I'm very ignorant, and I'll always say I am, to what actually goes on behind the scenes into the development of this. GamerDoc, on the other hand, actually has experience here, actually has the knowledge to talk on this and really give sound advice, in my opinion. So you may recall this was actually posted from GamerDoc a little while back. We covered this in a previous video, but this is when COD Updates was posting about stuff shortly after the launch of Black Ops 6 and Warzone and the whole integration here, saying that Ricochet's been working on some things here, and essentially he's going through and kind of ripping into Ricochet, but offering some advice at the same time, saying, I'll go ahead and move the face cam here. If it were up to me, I'd shift away from the over-reliance on AI systems for solving a lot of these issues, aka shadow bans, auto comm bans, relying on AI to detect various things, because there are a lot of flaws there. The system can be abused, as we've seen a whole lot over the course of the past few years. While AI has its place, it's clear that it's not fully addressing the core problem. Absolutely. A more effective approach might be targeting the cheats directly rather than relying solely on data heuristics or aim models to identify suspicious behavior. With a kernel level driver in place, it should be feasible to detect those cheats running locally on the machine without needing a boot or a start driver. The tools are there, it's just a matter of deploying them effectively, essentially saying that Ricochet should be able to do this, but it's not doing it well enough, so they need to be updating that to some extent. Now, for what it's worth, Ricochet has said coming in Season 2 and Season 3, there will be major kernel level driver updates. Hopefully that's something, similar to what GamerDoc is talking about here. Also saying, crossplay being forced here is kind of concerning, considering how unsafe the game is to play in terms of running into cheaters across the board. But like I said, we've talked about this statement from GamerDoc a little bit before. There's also some new posts from GamerDoc, though, that add more to the situation and basically call out Call of Duty to another level, and again, offers big solutions to the anti-cheat. So here he actually responds to a clip from Nadeshot that was posted a little while back. You might have seen that Nadeshot, alongside several other creators and streamers who've been playing a lot of COD this year, have taken a break, maybe switched over to Marvel Rivals or some other game. I do want to watch this clip briefly from Nadeshot so you at least have the context, and then we can see what exactly GamerDoc has to say about this, and then also what he basically adds on to this in further conversations about the latest updates and responses from Call of Duty in regards to the anti-cheat.
Comes out yesterday for their second update about how their game actually is and how little Team Ricochet and their anti-cheat actually work, and they're telling us,
which is true,
we're gonna have a kernel level driver anti-cheat sometime in Season 2, sometime in Season 3.
Which is the end of January.
Season 1
and that's
just
spring.
came out 30 days ago, a month ago. We just got Season 1 reloaded. Bro, there's still like 45 days left in Season 1.
Exactly.
Bro, if
we're
it
just
happens
waiting.
any time in Season 3, brother, we're going to be in the summer. As soon as they get this anti-cheat to possibly work properly, it's not even going to matter, because as soon as we get to June,
the next
July,
game's going to be
August,
out.
That's when they start slamming us with all the trailers and
Exactly.
leaks and hype for the next Call of Duty title. So in my mind, Black Ops 6, is already chalked.
He's got a very valid point here, and then basically saying, it's great that they're saying these things are going to happen, but it's not happening for some time. And by the time it does happen, there's no guarantee players are still going to be around and actively caring about those updates at that point. GamerDoc replies and says, there's no new kernel level driver coming. For what it's worth, Ricochet already functions as a kernel level driver, and it's had that as a thing that is live when you open the game. Other kernel level drivers out there, like what Vanguard uses though, and what Vanguard is active when you boot up your PC. So this only being when COD is open allows certain things to run in the background before you open up the app, and you can bypass various things. It's just basically less effective, right? He does say that said, I agree with everything he says. The focus should be on building effective detection strategies and leveraging existing tools to their fullest potential. Now, the latest updates to Ricochet obviously included a couple of different, report number updates. We've banned this many accounts, but then they all go through and they make new accounts anyways. And various responses to the spam report issue that's been a hot topic as of late. Charlie Intel ends up posting and reporting saying that Activision insists that spam reporting a player does not lead to a shadow ban, even though they still refuse to explain the shadow ban system and its actual purpose, since so many non-cheaters are consistently put into it. Like I said, this was their most recent update. We covered this in a video a couple of days back. GamerDoc then responds and says, while I hate how they operate, no anti-cheat can fully explain its methods, for an example, shadow bans, because once the public knows, they'll try to avoid it. Not saying their shadow bans are good, that's just the logical approach and not something you can demand to be explained, which is absolutely, valid. You can't give away all your secrets, because then the cheat devs know, the public knows, then it's no longer an anti-cheat whatsoever. It's just something that's there that everyone is well aware of, right? Charlie Intel says, fair point. I think the problem currently exists that there's no logical understanding of how a player gets in it. There's been players who have no cheats or are not altering the game state at all that suddenly end up in it for weeks. And GamerDoc says this, their shadow ban model is not based on ground truth data. They assume someone is cheating and impose a cooldown, harming more legitimate players than cheaters, which is the major flaw of shadow ban, of the shadow ban system as a whole, and of shadow bans in general. Innocent players are constantly affected by this. You could be on any platform. You could technically be on console, get shadow banned even if you don't have cheats. You could be on PC, get shadow banned and be completely legitimate. Meanwhile, there's dudes running around at level 5 with everything unlocked, aimbotting players out of the sky, and they're playing multiple matches, right? Like, we know this is a flawed system. It has been since day one. By ground truth data, I mean hard-coded detections for major cheat vendors. A better approach is to detect cheats directly and use that data to build behavioral flags instead of relying on shadow bans. So when someone goes into a shadow ban state, you're in that temporary limited matchmaking and they're evaluating your account or whoever is in that shadow ban state, right? And they're gathering data then. So even if you're innocent, it's just a waste of time for you, and then it ultimately ends up being a waste of time for them as well. I'd scrap shadow bans entirely and just implement restrictions. Flagged players could be required to enable Windows security features, breaking 80% of cheats and enforcing unspoofable hardware IDs. I know a lot of people say, well, why don't they enforce IP address bans or hardware bans? And they've done this in the past. However, unfortunately, it's relatively easy to change your IP address, and it's also possible to hardware spoof so that you're not actually getting hardware ID banned. But if you were to enable various Windows security features, according to GamerDoc, again, has full knowledge of this and how these anti-cheats work, that would actually be a way to basically navigate around that. So he's proposing an idea where instead of a shadow ban system, you get flagged and it pops up with, hey, make sure you enable this in your Windows settings so that you, can get back into playing the game. You don't have to wait a week to get back in after your shadow ban clears. While TPM can be replaced on some boards, many don't support it, especially laptops, making spoofing costly and impractical. The goal is to make cheating expensive and inaccessible while eliminating one-click spoofers. Cheating's always going to exist, which is true. You could have the greatest anti-cheat in the world. There will still be something that bleeds through. Some cheaters will still get through. The end goal is just preventing as many as possible. But with the right measures, the cheat rate could drop significantly. Seeing one cheater every 50 games would be a major success. And then GamerDoc does get asked some questions potentially on how, his solutions could also impose some problems or if that could cause any issues, saying, could you think of any reason they haven't implemented anything like this? It makes so much sense, and I'm going to assume it's easy for their team to implement, so why haven't they done that? GamerDoc says maybe they are, maybe they aren't. The biggest issue I know for sure is that requiring players to enable these settings in their BIOS or Windows will cause some friction. Some players either won't want to update that stuff, and I totally get that. Personally, I hate doing Windows updates because it seems like they always mess something up, or at times if you do a certain Windows update, you boot onto the game, then your game is running terribly or it constantly crashes. You got to go through and adjust various things. Like, they're certainly problematic in their own sense. Is that worth the trade-off, though, of when you do get to play not running into cheaters? That's sort of a case-by-case scenario. Do you think it is? You might think different than I do. Who thinks different than the next person, right? Then it gets asked again, I'd rather enable these settings knowing other players will have to and leave me to worry less about encountering less cheaters. Yes, some probably would be annoyed, but eventually it'll look as more of a positive. It also doesn't take much to quickly enable them. GamerDoc says, lastly, yeah, I agree, especially if you're forcing crossplay where console devices are inherently secure, you need to bring PC security to a similar level as much as possible. Obviously, a lot of cheats stem from PC, not every single one, like Cronus and stuff, still on console, still a problem, but that can be attacked in different ways. You know, overall, though, limiting a lot of the blatant cheats, aimbot, wall hack, crazy stuff like that, that's just destroying the game right now, making it borderline unplayable, could be combated, according to a different anti-cheat developer, by doing these certain things and also adjusting how shadow bans and various things work there. So definitely an interesting conversation at the end of the day. Did want to highlight this though, because obviously, like I said at the start of the video, anything that could help improve Ricochet, I think should be out there and should be highlighted. So if you want to get more eyes on this video and on this topic, a like rating really does truly help share the video around. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in COD, if we do get new updates and responses to the anti-cheat or anything else going on, this is the best place to be. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.